Hey, yo, what's going on, guys? We got a brand new episode of Buy or Bust today. We're going to be talking about my favorite card of the month, Peni Parker. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. In case you guys did not know, Peni Parker is the brand new Series 5 card coming out on Tuesday with the ability on reveal, add the SPDR Spider to your hand. When this merges with Peni herself, you get +1 energy next turn. Which is really interesting, actually. We don't really have a card that's just like this. It's like a new ramp card, and the spider itself is like the token for Peni, and this is what the spider does, which is also really cool. It's an also on reveal ability, merge with one of your other cards here, or merge with one of your cards here, and then you can move that card the next turn. So, like, not only is this giving you another card that you can play into your hand, so you also have another card you can play out on curve. If you play that into Peni itself, Peni is able to move, and then she gives you the +1 energy on the next turn, which is really cool. But I think also with these cards right here, you're really going to be able to go over the top or really get some other combos going on. The first card that came to mind is Phoenix Force. So Phoenix Force, of course, you're already merging with cards. So let's say if you were to merge Peni with a Phoenix Force, you would get that extra energy again. That's if you were to destroy Peni. Not saying you should destroy Peni, but I'm also thinking of just adding the spider to like a Human Torch or to a Phoenix Force card is really good. You can destroy the spider and merge that with a card because, you know, the interaction with Hulkbuster also works that way. Whereas if you were to destroy Hulkbuster and then play Phoenix Force onto a move card, whether that's Human Torch or Multiple Man or another move card, that card becomes the Phoenix Force card because it was the Hulkbuster that was destroyed. So you'd be able to move that card every single turn going forward, in case you guys did not know that. I think this is another great card, like I said, just with Hulkbuster as another prime example for Peni Parker, because whenever a card merges with Peni herself, that is the way that text reads. That's when you get the extra energy. And this can happen multiple times a game. It doesn't just have to be Hulkbuster. It could also be Agony. It could be a Chimichanga if you have that location. It could be a Symbiote Spider-Man. It could be the Phoenix Force like I'm talking about as well. And then I'm also thinking Human Torch gets great value from the spider itself. You're able to move this on the next turn. If you merge the spider with the Human Torch, your Human Torch becomes a 1/5. When you move that Human Torch, it becomes a 1/10. You probably are going to be moving that another time this next turn, so you can get to a 1/20, potentially a 1/40, just depending on what all you got going on. If you also do just move this and then play Frigga, Frigga will copy the 1/10 version of the Human Torch because you did not play another card before you played Frigga, so definitely keep that in mind. But with most cards in the game, there's going to be a counter as well. The key counters I was thinking of was Juggernaut, which Juggernaut might be a little interesting here, but I'm thinking if you're trying to merge a card with your Peni Parker, Juggernaut can offset playing that card onto the Peni Parker lane. And also later in the game as well, it could offset the spider going onto your card. Of course, this is, you know, without having priority. Juggernaut's a factor there. I'm thinking of Shadow King as well, because the card that merges with the spider gets that 3 power. So the Shadow King would reset that card back down to its base cost. This isn't really going to affect Peni Parker herself. If that were to be merged, she still gets the extra energy. She just will lose that 3 power. I'm thinking of Red Guardian, just shutting down Peni Parker itself. If you remove the text of Peni Parker and the spider merges with Peni Parker, then you don't get to do anything. You don't get the max energy. You do get, or extra energy, not max energy. You don't get that extra energy. You still can move the card on the next turn, but you will not be able to get that extra energy because Red Guardian removed the text from Peni Parker. And then here's what I'm thinking when it comes to like the good of the card itself too. So we got a couple different options here. So it's another new way to ramp. Of course, you just have to play onto the same lanes, kind of like a Hope Summers kind of situation, but more like you have to merge with Peni, so it's different than just having to play a card on there. So it's a different kind of condition there. I was also thinking that there's an ability to move Peni or another card next turn. Being able to move a card is just so good. I think it really allows you to kind of play different mind games with your opponent, whether you're going to move the card or not, where you're going to move the card, or what are the other 2 lanes you're going to move it to kind of situation. And then, yeah, like I said, it's another good enabler for either Phoenix Force, for move. I got a sneaky Wiccan list that also could be really good for it as well. I feel like this card is just solid. It's got a lot of good ins, a lot of good outs. And you can merge this with Penny multiple times, whether it's Agony, Hulkbuster, Phoenix Force. You can get the energy multiple times, which is really good. Now, with the bad, on the other hand, it does cost more than Penny. So, like, the bot itself is a 3-3. Penny is a 2-3. So you do have to play the extra energy out with that card on the next turn. Not necessarily a bad thing if you're just playing on curve. Just one of the things I was thinking about. It's not a freer card, or it's not cheaper, kind of like the arrows would be for Kate Bishop, or the same cost like a demon would be for the hood. So just keeping that in mind. And then you have to merge a card with Penny to get the extra energy. It's not merging with another card that allows you to get the extra energy. You do have to merge the card itself, or merge a card with Penny in order to get that extra energy. And then it's a dead card. I feel like at the end of the game, it's just a 2-3. You're not able to get the extra energy. You're not able to merge with the card to move anything. It's kind of just sits there at a 2-3, which 2-3 is okay, but you don't get to really get any cool functionality otherwise. And then it's potentially predictable. If you're trying to merge cards with Penny, your opponent's trying to see, or they see that you're going to be merging stuff with Penny to get the extra energy anyways. So they can kind of plan around that and either try and find ways to offset what you're trying to do in that lane, or remove, the ability from Penny with a Red Guardian, or kill the card, with a Lady Deathstrike kind of thing. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the ceiling and the floor for Penny. So on the high end, you play Penny out on curve, and you have multiple cards you can merge with Penny, and you get extra energy multiple times throughout the game. Or you also get a really good move enabler. With the Spider, you can play onto a move card, and you're able to move that and get your movement curve up and running as well, get that high power, which I think is pretty applicable more often than not. But I still think that's probably like the ceiling for this card, which isn't bad for a 2-3. Like the upside really is there. On the low end, like I said, you just draw this at the end of the game. You don't get the extra energy, and you can't move a card. It's just a 2-3 on the board for you. But I really do think you're going to be able to at least move a card once, or be able to merge with Penny at least one time. I'd say more often than not. I think the move is probably more, I'd say, like applicable, and I think you could see more often than not. But I still think baseline, that's really solid overall for a 2-3 to have that upside, right? And then we got a couple decks over here. So one of the main decks, like I got a lot of this inspiration when I was talking with Glazer on the pod this past week. And some Frigga move stuff, of course, with Madam Web. You have different ways to, ramp out and also put cards back into your hand, whether it's with Beast, whether it's with Toxin. You have other ways to move with Madam Web. You have the Spider also to move, so you don't have to just use Aranya, Ghost Spider, Iron Fist. Doctor Strange, you have another move enabler, which is really solid. And then, of course, with Frigga, you get the copies of the cards. You can have multiple of those running around. Feels like it's going to be really solid here. And then we did update a Phoenix Force list. Just a little bit. We put Iron Lad back in the list. But we're using Peni Parker mainly on our Human Torch and on our multiple main here to get those cards to move around. You have Nico, especially for that Destroy spell, allowing you to draw 2 cards because this is a very combo-heavy deck as it is, allowing you to go just over the top there. You could maybe even try Frigga in here. I haven't really tried Frigga in Phoenix Force, but I feel like Phoenix Force could be an interesting home. It's a very interesting shell as it is in the current meta, but I'd be interested to see what all happens with it. And then like with Hulkbuster, I said too, you can also destroy Hulkbuster to draw 2 cards. And then if you play Penny out and then you merge, Phoenix Force with Penny, Penny gets to move and gives you the extra energy. So there's a couple just different ways you can run through this, and I think it's going to be just a really fun list. And then the biggest inspiration I got from actually with Glazer is Merging Energy is what we've got over here, which is a Wiccan list. So you play Quicksilver out on 1. If you play Peni Parker out on 2, by the way, you get the Spider. So you get a 3-cost card you can play out on 3. That's why we only have 2 3-cost cards in here. We have Luke Cage, we have Copycat, and then of course you're having a lot of on reveals, whether it's Cable, Kate, Penny, Copycat potentially, Anti-Venom, Wiccan, Gore, Eliath. You have, the Luke Cage. You could possibly put Shadow King back in here. I have Hulkbuster in here as well, just as another merge card for Peni Parker. But I feel like Wiccan totally could be like a very good move for this list overall. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the Spotlight Week as a whole, though. We have Sasquatch and Gladiator in the Spotlights. 2 Series 4 cards. Newly Series 4 card would be Sasquatch. She should be a Series 4 card as of the time This is out. If it should be on Tuesday with the patch. So I think this week overall is very interesting. These weeks this season just really stink. I am not a fan of the weeks at all. It's really weak weeks for us to even try to get better card acquisition and stuff as it is. I like the variants overall, but I think when it comes to strength, it's kind of just okay. Like, Gladiator has a lot of usage right now. I mean, you're seeing some US Agent into Gladiator. You're seeing some Fenris Wolf value, not necessarily in mill, just for the stats of the card itself. Gladiator's doing well. I'm not seeing a lot of Sasquatch at the moment, but I've been just hearing rumors about people playing the Mysterio deck again. And, like, Sasquatch is not a bad card. It just kind of feels like it's not in the right place right now because we're not just slamming a bunch of cards on the board. We're kind of just playing more, like, big stuff or, like, 2 or 3 cards opposed to, like, 4 and 5 to really just like maximize kind of the Sasquatch things. So thinking of that like perspectively. And then I love the Peni Parker variants, awesome, but like I really do wish the Spotlight variants were better. Granted, the super rare variant we get for Peni Parker is a freaking beauty. Check that out on Snap.fan for sure. It is the Across the Spider-Verse or Into the Spider-Verse, both iterations of Peni Parker, and it looks so good. So do that. Don't spend your Spotlight keys on Peni Parker. If you don't have the Gladiator or you don't have the Sasquatch, it's an okay week to open if you're missing both cards, but it's still not the best. I would wait probably till January to open caches, and I'd spend keys on Peni probably, but it's very interesting week overall. Peni Parker, though, when I'm looking at like what everyone else is thinking about Peni Parker, everyone thinks she's pretty good. She's pretty flexible. She's not just one-dimensional. She's not just in one deck. Being able to have that ramp is nice. Being able to move a card is nice. I don't think she's going to get adjusted. The community doesn't think she's going to get adjusted. So I think it's pretty reasonable rating here. I'm very high on the card, though, because I think the movement of this card is really good. Just that, being able to have your opponent have to guess where a card's going to be moved, be able to have that extra energy for Peni Parker, for it to be able to go off multiple times, which we saw in the trailer, I thought was really sick. Which all like we went over earlier too. Like, I think this is absolutely incredible. Very excited to see what they do in the future. I don't think they adjust this card, but I think it is going to be flexible. I think it is going to be competitive. So I would say it is a buy. I think this is a solid card. It's my favorite card of the month. It's going to take some getting used to. Definitely going to be some thinking with this card, but I like that with new cards. It's not necessarily, I mean, it is kind of a plug and chug, but it's not necessarily like I'm already going to know what's going to happen every single game kind of thing. You can kind of have a couple different ins and outs, moving cards around, which I really like. But yeah, this is a very, very fun card for sure. And I want you guys also to keep in mind, wait a few days. Like, all the time. Wait a few days before fully committing to getting this card, because you don't know what could happen. We have a patch on Tuesday. We have an OTA on Thursday. You may want to wait a couple days to spend your resources. I'm wrong. The community's wrong. Like, it just happens, We don't know how the meta is going to reshape. We don't know what people are going to be playing all the time. We have Untapped to help track those stats. But, sometimes things just go off the rails. And then, yeah, sometimes just cards don't work the way we think they are, which is why I'm glad we do get the video every month to just see the cards in action, which is really nice. And then, yeah, prioritize what is best for you. Use your resources to what you want to play. What do you think is going to be the most applicable for yourself? And then, yeah, bad cards get buffed and good cards get nerfed. So just keep that in mind. But thank you guys so much for watching this newest episode of Buy or Bust. If you guys did enjoy the video, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. We just got a follower over here, it looks like, on Twitch. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next time, God bless. It's been real, and Tucker out.